Hi. So tonight I'd like to talk to you about the archetype of the crone. Um, she's also called the wise woman, and there are actually four archetypes. There is first the maiden, then there is the mother archetype, then there is the wild woman, the enchantress archetype, and lastly, and what is actually, I think, disregarded is the wise woman, the crone archetype, because the story and features around her have been, myths and fairy tales that she's a witch, she's a hag, a haggard old woman. She lives in the forest. She's feared by children. Um, like Hansel and Gretel and Baba Yaga. Um, the culture, our modern culture, does not value the wise woman. And I think it's something that is really important in this day and age to relook at and rethink, and for women to be able to start stepping into this archetype, because I think the knowledge that can be shared through this is so needed for the healing of this world. She has been made to look like she represents, aging and loss, loss of fertility, external beauty, loss of activity, which I will explain later, but I have experienced this not to be true as I stepped into my wisdom of the crone and my energy of her. The media, doesn't do the crone any good at all, because all they talk about is staying youthful, staying, your body staying tight, staying, looking a certain perception, by this cream, your skin will always look good. It's always about holding on to the youth rather than celebrating the gift of aging and the beauty when you can age beautifully, so it's definitely something to look into, and this is what I'm going to be diving into. The wise woman emerges in all of us at all ages, every month, every time you bleed. She is connecting to you. So she's always with you, and the transformation, when you start to transform into the crone energy and the wisdom of her, it doesn't happen automatically. It's something that is very, very deep. It requires you to take it really slow, to allow yourself to really start to embody this, but very gently, and very slowly. And it's interesting because the more I have stepped back, I have felt the wisdom and the gifts of this magic coming in. And it's just absolutely phenomenal. The wisdom that comes from her, from this gift, is shown in your connection. In your abilities, you move closer to spirits. You honor the dark moon. You're familiar with the subtle realms. You really start to connect to them and step into them more and more. You accept your shadow easily. You listen to your sadness. You let go. You let go of all the things that you thought were so important that it's almost like what happens is you start to simplify your life, and you simplify everything that you look at, everything that you think, everything you thought that was so important really starts to shift and change. And you embrace change, and you share your wisdom and love yourself deeply. But I experienced something actually this evening, which was, I think it's interesting that I'm going into this and then this particular situation happened. And I realized I had an opportunity to share the wisdom I had, but I had to find a way to do it in a very gentle way so that the person could hear me rather than it coming off as being criticism. And the situation was a lovely person I know who is, she was offering, she put out an offering. And, she really wants people to take advantage of it. And I totally get it. She's excited about it. It's something she's just completed and she wants to share it with others. And it was put into a friend's group which I belong to and several others, and, saying if anybody's interested, and which I thought was really lovely. And then she private messaged me as well and sent me her link saying, this is what I'm sending out. I'm offering, if you'd be interested, the price will be going up by the beginning of next year. So, now is the time to jump in for this experience. And, I saw it. I thought, okay, great. Well, she then started messaging me and she started saying, trying to convince me. And it really got to a place where I could feel the desperation in her. She really wanted me to accept this and to do this. And the more she kept pushing me, because she didn't stop, she didn't allow me to sit back and, think, okay, maybe not right now, but maybe next week, or maybe, she didn't give me that opportunity. She just kept pushing and kept pushing. And, and I had said, right now it's just, I'm really busy. I've got a lot going on. I'm keeping my focus very, very, tight on what I'm creating and what I'm doing right now. And I don't really want to spend, she's also in another country, time difference and all this. And anyway, it just wasn't going to fit for me right now. And so I explained it very gently, and she didn't want to hear that. And she kept coming at me. And then she said something, she said, well, this is really, the opportunity. I mean, it was almost like I started feeling like this, what's wrong with you, kind of coming off of her. And also, like I said, this real desperation, which actually made me want to back away from it, because I thought, do I really want to work with somebody that's making there's feeling, I'm feeling this energy of desperation. So anyway, I went for a walk. I had to walk my dog, and it was lovely. It's raining, and I went out for 2 hours in the rain, and it was just wonderful. And I came back. Well, she had messaged me again. And this time she had said, I had a woman in Las Vegas that just took my course, or just had a session. And, I guess it's right now it's whatever you donate. So, $5, whatever. And anyway, whatever she donated. And then she tipped her $350 because it was so good. And she was in tears, and so I sat with that for a little bit. And then I thought about it. I thought, okay, what is the best way I can help share with her? And so I very gently said, I am so glad that you experienced that. And I expect for you to experience more of that. And I said, however, I would just like to let you know that my experience of you pushing me really gave me this flavor and energy of you feeling kind of desperate about it. And rather than allowing me to get curious and think, okay, maybe this week is not good, but maybe next week, possibly, let me see, and keeping it open and keeping it like, well, it's a possibility. I said, rather than you allowing me to do that, you kept pushing and you kept pushing to the point where it's now, do I really want to work with that energy? No, I don't. And I said, I'm telling you this, I'm sharing this with you because we're friends. And I know I'm not taking this personally. This isn't personal. And so I want you to get the value out of this so that you don't do this with someone else, because you will push them away rather than to bring them in. You've just had this amazing experience with this person that's done this class with you, and you should be celebrating yourself, And I said, so I'm saying this with all my love, and I am seeing you having complete success with this, and I wish you the best. And I sent it. And, I talked to her. I don't know how she took it, but I really felt good because I realized I really needed to share that with her, because otherwise, she's a lot younger. And otherwise, if she goes into business this way in a desperate state, really wanting people, trying to sell people, on something that she's giving them, which is supposed to be a beautiful, wonderful experience, you need to go in it with the right energy. And so going back to the Crone, I really felt that wisdom kick in and that energy kick in to where I could really help her. So I think it is so important for women, and it starts usually around 50 and up is what I see as this energy starts to come in. And I have noticed it in so many magical ways, connecting in ways that I never thought I would before. I didn't even know were possible. Having a very clear connection and to my intuition. Just knowing, a real knowing, and a real wisdom. And the more that I cultivate it, the more it is growing. And so I will get into more of this with you in my next session. Lots of love.